Hello everyone, this is Anita Joshi. In today's webinar, we are going to see the steps to roll out BIA v3 for your in-premise setup. So let's get started. So this is how the setup will be after deploying BIA 3 server. So you can see the instance added in blue color. This is BIA v3 in addition to your current ConnectXF setup. Okay, so we will be looking at all the connection points in detail as given in this diagram. So let's see how it goes. So this connection point A, it is about the network from end user to BIA 3 over internet. Okay, so this is the end user who has logged into BIA 3 webmail over the internet. Okay, this is the connection point where the customer has to provide the network. The sizing is given over here around 1 Mbps per 100 users. Depending on your user base, number of users who are going to use BIA v3, you can provision the network. And the ports to be opened in firewall are 443 and 8080, okay, over the internet for BIA v3 server. Okay, connection point B, it is actually the BIA v3 instance. Okay, here you have to provide setup, okay, the hardware, and with OS Ubuntu 16.04 and the network given to this instance with IP, routes, gateway and DNS. So this is the BIA v3 server where you will have to provide the IP, routes, gateway and DNS, and OS pre-installed with Ubuntu 16.04. Okay, in this, once you provide the hardware with OS installed in it and the network setup, we will configure following in that server. First of all, we will configure the network, the host name basically, and firewall in BIA v3. These are the actual installations and configurations for Docker service. We will be using Docker service to set up BIA v3, which will cover installation, configuration, okay, and some features of BIA v3 needs to be configured. Like address book is there, calendar is there, that needs to be configured. Then there is a license setup for Outlook skin and SSL certificate. All these configurations will be done by Mithi once the server is provided by the customer. Next. So here in part C, BIA v3 server will be connected with the ConnectXF, that is a mail server. Okay, for this the network required will be 1 Gbps or 10 Gbps, and the ports to be opened are 25, 143, 389, 80 and 8080. So all these ports need to be opened between BIA v3 server and ConnectXF mail server. Okay, D. At this point, the end user is using BIA v3 over LAN or WAN. Here, the customer need to provide network for 100 Mbps, and the ports required will be 443 and 8080 over the LAN and WAN for BIA v3 server. So network 100 Mbps and ports 443 and 8080. Okay, now in this E section, that is the internal DNS configuration. In BIA v3 setup, whatever communication is going to happen between the mail server and BIA 3 server will happen on the domain name of the server or the host name of the server. It will not, these servers will not communicate over the IP address. Physical IP will not be provided in the configuration. Instead of that, host name will be provided. So I hope everybody is having the internal DNS setup where we will configure the host name of both the servers with their IP addresses, the internal LAN IP address. Okay, now F. F is the mail server configuration. Some configurations need to be done on the ConnectXF on the mail server. Okay, and customer and Mithi both will will be doing this together. From Mithi end, we will be adding SMTP controls on the server, mail server, and BIA auth, okay, and directory, and the updation to version 3.28 with all the patches. Now all these configurations are required for authenticated traffic from BIA 3 to ConnectXF. For, let's say, for mailing, we will add SMTP controls. All the mail flow from BIA 3 to ConnectXF will be using authentication. So, and for web services, even the web services calling will happen with authentication. So this will be the secure traffic. Even for directory access, BIA v3 will call the LDAP directory with authentication. And ConnectXF will be required to be updated to latest version, that is 3.28, and all the patches available for this version. Now the connection point G, where from BIA 3 to mail server we will require port 25 and network of 1 Gbps or 10 Gbps. Here this BIA 3 server is like a additional client connecting to the mail server. Okay, just like any other client, desktop client like Outlook is there or Thunderbird is there or any other client. Same way BIA 3 will connect to the mail server like a third party client, okay, or another client. So if anyone sends a mail using BIA v3, the BIA v3 server will actually connect to the mail server over port 25 and then the mail will be sent. So that is how it is going to be. For that, the network of 1 Gbps or 10 Gbps and port 25 need to be opened between these servers. Okay, H is the external DNS which needs to be configured for calendar service. Okay, the calendar service which is deployed on BIA v3 setup will have its own domain name for sending mails regarding event invitations like that. So that domain name will be like EVT, that is environment.domain name. That is how the domain name will be. This domain name will have MX pointing the DNS records in your external DNS. So that needs to be added. Okay, and the mail routing configuration needs to be done for this domain on BIA 3 server. So for example, if anyone sends invitation to a local user or remote user from BIA 3 calendar, the email will get generated and the domain name for this email will be evt.domainname. It will not be triggered with your basic domain or primary domain, but it will be a separate domain. So for the mail flow to work properly, we will have to add MX in your external DNS. So that is for calendar configuration. Now BIA v3 integration with AD. This is optional. If any customer is having ADS configure in their premise, then it can be integrated with BIA 3, and the network required between these two servers will be 1 Gbps or 10 Gbps, and ports required will be 389 or 636. Okay, now let's go to the actual phases of deployment. Whenever if you want to deploy BIA 3 server, then these are the broad phases. First is prerequisites, then pre-go live testing, then actual go live, and after that post go live monitoring. So let's see each and every phase in detail. So what all prerequisites are required? The primary prerequisite is mail server, that is ConnectXF has to be on 3.28 version with all latest patches installed on that. So even if you have 3.28 but all patches are not there, then we'll have to first install those patches and then proceed with further setup. Another prerequisite is, of course, the hardware, additional hardware and OS configuration for BIA 3. So server type, of course, it has to be enterprise grade. Then minimum CPU required will be 2 core, and depending on your user base, you can increase the sizing of CPU. Same way for the RAM configuration, minimum required is 8 GB and you can add as per your user base. The network required will be 1 Gbps or 10 Gbps. Root disk on the setup will have RAID 10. Minimum disk space required will be 20 GB. The Docker volumes will be set up on another 200 GB of space, and it will be configured in RAID 10 as well. Depending on your user base or sizing, you can add 10 GB per 500 user space to this volume. These two have to be separate partitions, root and Docker volume, with separate RAID configured. And OS, Ubuntu 16.04 is the recommended or preferred OS, but if required, you can also have RHEL 7 installed. Then the network components, okay. You will have to provision all the ports, okay, necessary ports to be opened in firewall. You can refer to the network details given in initial slides. If you have WAF introduced in your setup or it is already there in your setup, then please refer to the network details and the ports to be opened. Then the internet access for BIA 3 instance, okay. Those ports are also given in previous slides. Okay, now let's go to pre-go live steps. Once the all prerequisites are in place, let's go for a pre-go live trial. So here what you can do is identify some small set of users who will first test BIA 3. Okay, you can give these users the access of a new setup, and for that testing you can confirm the flow of traffic between mail server and BIA 3, and also iron out any other integration issues. So the step, pre-go live step, will be the trial for small set of users. Then the next is admin training. Okay, we will be covering all these steps in the training. So how the new system is, how the new architecture is, then the SOPs for whatever SOPs are there for BIA 3, we will be providing training on that. Then the feature awareness will cover the key differences between BIA 3 and BIA 2, that is current BIA which you have. And we will be covering how to take the backup of the system. Okay, you will need to take regular backups of BIA 3 setup. Now, informing the end users. Once the setup is ready and testing is completed, you will have to send a mail to all users and explain them what is new in BIA 3 and how to use it. For that, we have prepared training videos for each and every feature, and you can share those training videos with your end users. Okay, once the users are informed about a new setup, we can actually take BIA 3 live. So it is very simple to take BIA 3 live. So whatever URL you are using right now, like for example mail.mithi.com is the URL you are using currently to access BIA v2, then you simply have to redirect this URL to the new server, new BIA 3 server. So you will have to do the DNS changes in internal as well as external DNS and point BIA 3 server to your webmail URL. If you have load balancer in your setup, then the changes also have to be done in load balancer to route all the BIA traffic or webmail traffic to BIA v3 server. Now once the URL starts pointing to BIA 3, okay, the monitoring comes into picture. Okay, you will have to monitor the services, resource utilization, uptime. Basically, BIA 3 server will get added to your existing setup, and all the steps or daily process which you are following for your other servers, mail server, relay server, and all the servers included in your setup, the same thing you will have to do for BIA v3 as well. Okay, so the monitoring, resource utilization, uptime, everything has to be checked daily. This server has to be added in your daily checklist. Backup. As you are taking ConnectXF backup daily, you will also have to take BIA 3 backup daily. Okay, that can be configured, but you will have to monitor it and confirm that the backup is happening daily. Okay, updates and upgrades will be provided as a part of subscription by Mithi, but the responsibility is with customer to keep that BIA 3 server updated at any given point of time. So it will be a part of subscription, and as and when the upgrades are available, it will be declared in the release notes of Mithi website. Okay, that's all about the broad steps which will be covered while deploying BIA 3 setup. This takes us to the end of the webinar. Thank you very much.